Bomb. Start.
Okay. I'm all nervous now. Okay, we begin bombing in 5 minutes. And we begin bombing now.
It was Grenada?
Okay,
Where was
again.
it? It was Grenada? Where was
No, it was Moscow.
Moscow?
Iraq. The Soviet Union, the problem of the Soviet Union, Reagan. We'll talk about it later. Okay. Let's sum up with my halt. So, you're up to today's test, right? So here's my review. I looked into it a bissel. So we're dealing with connections, right? And the Rebbe Rashab is looking for the elusive mamutza that connects Ein Sof, that's higher than all Hagbolas and Hagbola, Sfiris. That's the compelling issue here. So Keser is mamutza because Atik always remains higher than is Tachtena Shebematzil, so it's always connected to the Maitzil, which is the source. We'll use the word source. And Arich is always Reisham Netzalim, so it's always connected to the Netzalim, to the emanations. Remember, we're dealing here the mamutza between the Mailif and the Sfiris and the Sfiris of Atzilus. We're not dealing with Bria now. We're not dealing with physical yesh. We're dealing with gvul, basically.
We're not even dealing with Rotnik yesh. We're dealing with Elikus.
Elikus, the tzir in Sfiris, yeah. So the resolution is Chochmas Tema. So Chochmas Tema, which is Chochma of Arich, just for the record. Chochmas Tema is the mamutza because Chochmas Tema does travel both ways. Atik always is Atik. Arich is always Atik. Chochmas Tema has two tchunas. One part of it is connected to Atik, which is called Tainug and Keches HaNefesh, as we'll mention in a moment. And another part of it is connected to Arich and therefore to the Netzalim. So analyzing Chochmas Tema, the Rebbe Rashab goes into the analysis of Chochma B'chlal. Chochma has two tchunas, the Hafla and the Yerida. Chochma is able to travel into a very abstract place that's higher than Helam Achar Helam, the the core of an issue. And on the other hand, Chochma brings it down. It's hasogah. It's, after all, an understanding. It's not bina yet, but it's the beginnings of a structure. You know.
Applies to all levels of Chochma too, right?
Yeah. So Chochma has these two. Now it goes back to Chochmas Tema also has these two. Obviously in a more subtle way, but the same idea. And how does it work in the Keches? So he spoke that Chochma connects to the Tainug of Atik much deeper than Rotzen does. So Rotzen is Arich. Rotzen is the Golgalta, is the skull. So it only takes the Chetzenius of the Makif of Atik. Chetzenius Atik. But Tainug, as he said, the mashal that he gave, that the powerful mashal with a house, building a home, he said that Tainug hu ha-seichel. The whole seichel is rooted in the pleasure principle, so to speak, in Kedusha, which means that there would be no seichel if there wasn't a pleasure. Since a person has, let's say in the mashal, a person has a pleasure, he wants to have a home, but mainly he sits down and figures out how you build a home, all the details. So Chochma really is just a manifestation of Atik, Primis Abba, Primis Atik. Okay, so that deals with the connection. So what we have so far, before the Sidus, which we'll get to now, is we figure he has at least the connection of Chochmas Tema is this bridge. We got that. But now we got another problem. Okay, Chochmas Tema, he understands the bridge to Atik. That part is easy. But how do we get to Chochma Gluya? Chochma Gluya is the kasha that he asked in the last Maimer, is too distant from this. Forget, if Chochmas Tema has such powerful Tainug, then Einachanami is not Atik, but it's too far from Chochma Gluya. So how does the Chochma... So we need to have now the wires that connect from Chochmas Tema to Chochma Gluya. That's where he's up to now. So you see how it's like he's dissecting literally every part of the bridge. Like if you had to make an image, the image would be, okay, Atik we know is Tachtena Shebemaitz, clear. Arich is Reish Netzalim. Chochmas Tema is the bridge between the two. But now, how does Chochmas Tema get into Chochma Gluya of Atzilus, which is the first sphere of Atzilus? No, Chochmas Tema is still Chochma in the unconscious. So here is the introduction of the Sidus. The new kind of Sidus. Sidus is like wires, actually. Very thin wires, strands of hair. Think of it Poshet Begashmis. The Sidus are, by us it's just hair. But in Ruchnius, Saida is a reflection of a very Tzimtzum Dika Hashpah. So, just to use an example, if you didn't have wires, you couldn't have electricity in your house. Because just to connect to a generator that has electricity would be too powerful. The electricity has to be in some way, like he calls it a dilug, has to in some way be constricted. And it comes through narrow wires into a situation where it can, like for example, if suddenly you had a surge of electricity, it would blow out all the electricity. So the wires both transmit and also conceal. So I gave the example then, which was not recorded. That's why I'm repeating. Remember the thing where the guy wrote about LSD? I don't want to have $5, but the idea is that Dr. Hoffman, Albert Hoffman, who discovered that chemical, so he discovered was like that. Think of it like a faucet. You have a reservoir of water, and you have a faucet that allows the water to come in drop by drop by drop. If the faucet breaks, the surge of water would we wouldn't be able to take a cup of water. So the faucet is like the situs in the sense where it allows a lot of power to come in, seep in. So that's the way he's explaining how Chachma Stima goes into Chachma Gluya. Think of it like this: that the unconscious, if it opened up, the channels of the unconscious didn't have chemicals that limited it in the flow, we'd go crazy. Basically, a genius is a very thin line between a genius and a mad person. Because think of a second, a genius what's the word for it? Nevi'as HaMeichin. The Rebbe, who was it? The Mittler Rebbe, the Magid, like the Shah Stil. Because for example, Navi had to quiet it down. So imagine what stops a Nevi'as HaMeichin by a genius from not making him go crazy. He's got so much coming through. The truth is, there are people in insane asylums that are brilliant. They don't have the thing that stops. Psychologists today say it's chemicals that create compartments. Like for example, what stops Rahman al-Islam? A person has a terrible tragedy. How is it that 5 years later they can survive? Because they forget. That means that memory weakened, but they can go back there. Imagine somebody was able to remember exactly the moment as it happened. They'd never be able to survive. So it's healthy. Basically, sanity essentially is limited awareness, if you want to put it that way. Real sanity means, because if you were completely aware all the time, you would go crazy.
Post-traumatic stress.
Yeah, that's good. But you're explaining a classical channel.
Hold on, let me just finish.
Sinus is a different type of channel. It's a strange, unusual type of channel.
Let's not use the word situs for a moment. Situs basically are narrow strands. It says situs is Moishe Meichin. The Meichin goes in. So situs, I'm giving an example of wires. It's just a mushal. My own mushal.
But the mushal you're giving explains that it gives the impression of a regular standard sinner of in
what's that? Why are wires a regular standard sinner? They're a sinner. What's the difference in regular standard and not regular standard? Where do you get the difference?
In other words, in Chassidism, we're going to always
the problem is like this. One second. Hold on a second.
Not through situs, and it's like wires.
No, who says it's like wires? Maybe it's not like wires. No. 1 second. Yeah, but Cyrus is a muscle that we can understand too. Cyrus and Ruchnius. Let's just make something clear. First of all, wires can be wires and wires. Just muscle flow. I they were not. There's a lot of examples. A big bottle of wine. To get into a bottle, because it's too. So you need to have a funnel. Some things, a funnel is not good enough. You need something that's very big and very narrow. Wires is just an example. I think Sidus, the way he says it, let's use it. Sidus is Ba'efin Dilug. Let's put it this way. Remember, we're resolving the problem of Chachma Stima to Chachma Gluya. We're not about to Chachma Gluya, because there you need to have, it's a much bigger jump. You're talking about unconscious Chachma to conscious Chachma. Let's put it this way. When you're sitting right now and you have a Havroka, and does it feel like a spark? So Chassidus says it feels like a spark because the source of it is so beyond you, you can't go there. So all you feel is like a drop of water dropped from somewhere. It's like from the sky. That's what it feels like. It feels like a flash. Chayach Ma, exactly. So he's explaining how the Chachma Gluya does connect to Chachma Stima, but the way he does it is through Sidus. That's the explanation.
Why is Sidus more dilug than regular
Or in other words, how do I distinguish?
Well, let's put it this way. In a very simple way. Look at a Saida. Any intelligence in a Saida? Obviously not. Yet it says that the Saidas have Meisuri Meichen. It says that. It says they have, because they come from the mind. They have,
what does it mean?
Excess Meichen, so it ends up...
No, because
like
in the physical hair, it means nothing. You cut your hair, you don't get stupider, and you grow hair, it doesn't get smarter. Right. But Beruchnius, they say long hair. A Nazir has long hair. Shimshon had kavura from long hair. You don't understand how. You say a woman has to cover her hair, says it's because the hair has a keach. Sar isha erva. Go explain it. It's power. The fact that we don't understand exactly its power, it doesn't mean a hair is intelligent. It means it has more. It's not just a daimon. And that's it. It has something in it. Think of it, has chayas in it. Varaya, if you pull your hair, it hurts. Once you cut it, the Chassidus says this. Tzipernayim is part of a body. That's why you have to bury or burn the tzipernayim. You could say, what is it? We're talking here in Chassidus Apiteda, human body is b'tzir of tzelem elikim. So nothing is just nothing. There's no such thing as a hair is just a hair. A hair what is it in Ruchnius? In Ruchnis, a hair is Amshach of Chayis, but B'tzimtzum Ma'ed, that's the bottom line. It's a very big tzimtzum. It's just an example. I used wire because I compare, let's say, a body of nuclear, infinite energy, and how are we going to access it? To me, a wire is a very, very, very narrow flow. Maybe it's less than a wire, Saida.
The problem is not the wire.
What's the problem? What is the problem? I don't get the problem.
To distinguish in my mind Sidus as compared to any other.
I just told you, a mashpech is not a Saida. A mashpech is not a Saida. 1 second. Hold on. If I give this to you right now, because you have a hand and I have a hand, and this is small enough, we don't need anything this. But if I gave you something much huger, I'd have to have something to get it to you. Seichel, the same thing. Regular seichel between two people are be'erech. I could just say it. But since it's a l'shleberech, you need a mashal. If that doesn't work, you need a chida. In other words, it all comes down to how distant the two things are. The point he wants to make is that Chacham Istema and Chacham Glui do have a connection, but their connection has to be a very limited one, because Chacham Istema comes from such a high madrega called Tainug and Atik. So it's just an example of a cider, from my point of view, is a pure mashal right here. I mean, it's called Sidus, but it's a mashal of a Hamshach b'derech tzimtzum. Remember, it's not, you want to have, for example, you can ask me the other way around. You understand, for example, how a cider is less than, let's say, a mashpach, right? How a cider here is less than a funnel. But you want to have an example that's even more tzimtzum than cider? Tzimtzum addition. Complete siluk. A cider, there's still a connection. It may be a very, like low transmission, but the connection is there. A tzimtzum addition is complete concealment, complete silence. Where the Rav has to be completely silent before he speaks. That's total cutoff. That also is a mamutza in a way. But it's a mamutza where there's no flow. A cider, there's a flow, except it's a very narrow flow.
We did learn sometime last week about the connection between Buddhism and down. I don't look at it as a pure cutoff anymore.
Okay, fine. Okay, now the next step is, the question goes the other way around. Sidus now we just use as an example of being a dilug dika. You wanted to say something about dilug?
I just don't understand why it's dilug means that.
Like the tzimtzum addition, like dilug means complete. No, but mashal. Dilug means when it's not b'seidav adroga. A sidus for sure not b'seidav adroga, because it's a jump. I give you an example. A funnel is not dilug. A funnel taken from a lot of. It's not dilug because it's tzimtzum, but it's not dilug. Dilug means anytime something has to take a so-called a radical jump, it changes its flow. That's dilug. That's what dilug means here. It's like not in a regular flow. Like regular flow would be you bring it down a bit, a little more. A cider by nature, even in the human, is a different creature, so to speak. Okay, so then when the kasha the other way around, we learn Yud Gimel Tikunei Dikna.
Can the dilug be that the fact that it's going from Moichin to Sidus through Gulgalta? Is that the dilug?
He doesn't say that. Doesn't say that here.
According to what you're saying, to be anything then. Anything that's going from a higher channel to a lower channel would be dilug.
He's using Dafka Mashal Sidus. It's the reason why.
Yeah, but you go from
Look, cider is the madrega. That's why.
From Chachma to Bina.
Look, in Kabbalah, this level is called Sidus. That's it. You can't change that. Sidus is the dikna. Sidus is the dikna.
Is that the Mashal?
Everything's a muscle, but Pale Mamish, he's not using Sidus as a muscle directly. Sidus is the level. It's called Sidus the Dikna. Yud Gimel Tikkun Dikna. So now comes the question the other way around. In other places we learn that Yud Gimel Tikkun Dikna, the Sidus, is not a diluk. That itself is
It's a different type of Sidus.
So that's what he answers. There's Chesenius and Pnim. 1 second, he answers.
We didn't get to that yet.
No, he did. That was that was last Maimer. He asked that question. He asked that question.
So the sinus is the connection.
He says clearly. 1 second here.
To
Hold on.
to Chachma Regila, to Chachma regular.
Chacham meint a much. I'm pretty sure Rak Mazel. 1 second.
No, you
Vadayin Eidem Misyashev Shari Yud Gimel Tikkun Dikna Meir B'chinas Pnimius Atik. The Yud Gimel Tikkun Dikna. Look, I think I should add one thing which is critical here. Why by us is it such a big thing that you don't touch your beard? It says in Torah you shouldn't touch your beard. Here is clearly in Torah a big thing. Now, if someone has no hagdomas, it sounds weird. Here, what's here? Big thing. Cut it off, not cut it off. And you see, for Nalazite, this is from Tzemach Tzedek in the Segalach Mitzvah, the Maimer Segalach Mitzvah. So yeah, you see, for Nalazite, a Nazir, power in the hair. The Kehanim had to cut their hair every day. Levim.
Levim was only one kind.
Yeah, right. It was Mana Midbar, right. And the Mitzvah, the shave. A man grows a beard, covers his hair with a yarmulke. I'm just giving you all. A woman, before she's married, she could wear long hair, not like a man. But after she's married, she has to cover it completely. What's going on here? The bottom line is that the first Akdama you need to understand that is the human body is, as I said before, Tselem Elokim. So there's nothing is nothing. It's not like who cares about hair. Everything in a human being is a bedugmil shalmaila. From the head to the toes, the nails, every part of the body was created in the image of Hashem. So here is, what is here? The Torah says hair has power, but it's paradoxical power. On one hand, it's on top of your head, and it's on the face, so it's like on a very high level. On the other hand, hair itself doesn't have any real chayis. Can you compare hair, for example, to the heart, to the brain? A person doesn't need hair to live. A brain, a mind, a heart. If you have a mind and a heart, you can't exist. So this explains that here is the dugma, is the level in Lamaila where the Ein Sof connects to the Gvul. That's what here is placed. So whether we understand it or not, a beard has Yud Gimel Midas HaRachmim. That's how it is. A beard reflects obviously not physical beard. You can open up a beard and see compassion or rachamim, but it's dugma, and that's why it's not hadras pun. What's the lashon? The feres can not say by a beard. That the pnei zaken. That a beard is a dugma of a velikus in a high level. They say that Baal Shem Tov had 13 sections in his beard. They could physically see it. I once heard from Mendel Morozov. Mendel Morozov was the Ili Nishmas Berel Weiss. Berel Weiss was in the hospital here in New York many years ago, and I went to Bimvaka Chela. Mendel Morozov was there. So Mendel Morozov told him a story that they used to talk in Lubavitch. Beautiful story. The Rebbe Rashab was sitting outside once in the summer. He called over. There was no doctor in Lubavitch, so there was what's called a feldsher. A feldsher was like a type of paramedic. One of these like Dr. Zelliks, even though he was actual doctor. But you know what I mean? Matzah and these Achim did more healing. So. And anyway, so the Rebbe Rashab called him over, and he said, Rabbi Avram, weiss doch, als ich hab nicht halt Doktorin. Doesn't like Doktorin. Favos, weil a doctor tapped a wand. That's what he said. Doctor tapped a wand means a doctor, he's like touches the wall. The difference between a good doctor. When a schlechter doctor is, a good doctor is, as if a zendik was tapped a wand. When a schlechter doctor is, as if a blinde was tapped a wand. But they both, aber dir hab ich halt, Favos, weil Eid kommt zu dir. I'll translate in a second. When Eid kommt zu dir, ist das zu sagen, habst du an dein lang Hair, lang Beard. Habst du an dein lang Geburt. Und nach der Zei, ist der gleiche Hamschache von Yud Gimel Midas HaRachmim. Danach die rechte Seite ist Atik, und die linke Seite ist Arich. So, schon angeheben, he basically said, you understood what I said? That a doctor, he doesn't like doctors, because doctors, he says, touch, they tap a wall. They're trying to see what's behind the wall. A good doctor is like a seeing eye person that touches a wall, and a bad doctor is like a blind person that touches a wall. But he said, you I like. Because the first thing when a Jew comes to you, you grab your beard and you say, oh, So right away, your mamshich Yud Gimel Midas Harachimim, and the right side is Atikemin, and the left side is Arechampim. So already it's a good beginning. This is not meant to knock doctors. Huh? Yeah. You see? Let's go, do it. Give us a demonstration. Anyway, the point is that I'm saying this because we take for granted. You have to explain these things sometimes. We take what's up here. The answer is we don't understand. Just like we say that a moyach is a reflection of God's meichen. Here is a reflection of God's here, and by us, everything is kaddish. The fact that we are frivolous with our bodies and that we don't see it as a big thing doesn't mean anything. Whenever I speak about this, like sometimes in more secular crowd, I always say, look in all advertisements. What's the most alluring thing that they have in advertisements for perfume? It's a woman's hair. It's always used in all advertising because they know the power of it. It has a power. The image of it, the whatever, the visual, the fantasy, whatever it is. The point, bottom line, is that Sidus is a madrege in Elokus, and it's madrege. Remember, everything as it is in Gashmis is nishtalshim from Ruchnis. The fact that a Sidus looks like a thin strand that comes out of your head is because Lamaila, that's how it is. A Sidus, there it goes the other way around. There, at the Gaiman, for it to connect, or at the Gaiman, for Meiches Tema, to connect the Meiche Gluya, it's the strands of hair. So let's take away our physical. We are a dugma. Our hair is a dugma to the hair Lamaila. So don't use the word side. Side is confusing because when you hear hair, you think about your hair. I'm talking about the hair. You are talking about your hair, but our body is a dugma for Lamaila. What's side is Lamaila? Side is Lamaila is a hamshacha. It's a tzimtzum dik hamshacha b'derech dilug. That's how he says from meiches tima to meiche gluya. Now the question is, but in other places it says that here is not b'tzimtzum. That yud kimel tikuna dikna. Let me just go back to the question. Is okay, fine. But the beard is the payas. The beard and the hair, it's all, he's not going.
I think it was a big distinction.
I think it's between regular and beard.
Does he say it?
Yeah.
No.
One
In
goes down, one goes up.
In Kabbalah, I know he's going to say, in Kabbalah and Chassidus, there's definitely a difference. But let's first ask the question. He does ask the question. It's not my question. So his question is like this. Let's just get to the question. 1 second. Where is it?
I'll tell you, Reish Daled. Reish Daled, and then on the bottom.
Yeah, Reish Daled. So he says, I'm just reading from the Kitzur. The Kitzur says, "Vadayin ein misyashe shari yibid yud gimel digunu meir b'chinas pnimis atik ulechem amala kol abgamim." And that's why that level is Zakrachmonis is Yud Gimel Tzarachim is Mamala. Even a Pagam. Remember, it's recording, so it's all right.
Hello.
Oh, yeah. It's Mamala Kolab Gomim.
This year is by Yossi.
Va'ikid hu b'mazel v'netzer.
It is every Sunday.
No, I'm not smoking. Huh? Weiter.
Joey in front of Simmons' house right now, banging on the door.
B'mazel v'netzer. So b'meila, that's the kasha. Sidid Kimel Dikin is so much previous atik. So we're back to square one. How is it a Mokar Chochmah? That's his question. And the answer is because the Chochmah Stima, there's two levels. Chetzenis, Pnimis Chochmah Stima, Chetzenis Chochmah Stima. And he explained that the two levels of Stima. A Stima, a Helem that's only Lefi Erech, and it will be revealed soon. And a Helem that's completely Shalei Berech and will never be revealed. He gives the dugma from Eden Stima, the dugma of Mashiach, comes Behes Chadas, it's completely L'mayla Medas, it's a complete Helem. That's Perek Reish Hey. Perek Reish Vov, he explained it to the two types of Makifim, Makaver Yosher, and a Perek Reish Zayin, Makaver Chezer. Basically an explanation for these two levels of Chochmas Tima. One is still a Fi'erech HaMakablim, and one is completely higher than the Makabel. That was that. And Sifrei Shches, Apianal Yuvan, how now we can understand how Chochmah Geluya comes from Chochmah Stima, because it's coming from Chochmah the Chetzenis of Chochmah Stima, through Sidus. Yud Gimel Dikna Dikna refers to the premise of Chochmah Stima, which is connected to Atik. So that's the Tivuch.
The Gimel Dikna Dikna that connects the Atik and it comes out. How's that?
Yeah.
That he didn't answer it.
Well, no, but it doesn't come out to Chachma. Chachma Gluya's connection to Chachma Stima is through the lower siders. It's through the siders that are not.
It doesn't come out all the way.
He doesn't discuss it. Let me see. I have to look at this perek again. The article. No, the Chen is going to Mokra Slicha.
Way up comes all the way down.
For that he doesn't know.
Hold on. For Inyan Hu the Ramaz, I'm talking about the Matzah. Is fine. You got that. Okay, the Chetzenius becomes the Mokra of Chachma. He says that clearly. And the Pnimius remains Sosam Be'etzim like Atik. Okay, so from there it also went Nimshach. I'm just reading quickly here. El Shem Meichen Gevoim V'Nailam B'Yeser. Okay. Yeah. In the last page, Reish Ches, he explained that there's two ways the Hamshachas goes. Ilava'ol, from one sphere to the next, and the other one is in an Eifin of L'mayla Meseder Shtalshlos. All within Er Pnimi. Right? So yes, so both sides come down. But let me see how he feels this with Chachma Geluya. 1 second. Lefikir Nishtalshlos, Mashenkin Mekesed Ala Chachma, Shamshachim B'chinas Sidus Levad, Hazerak Hara Dahara. Achaf Piken, Gam Misavas Chachma Kesed, Nikram Shachar Shebeseder Shtalshlos, Ala Shekachu Adraga Shal Sedus. Hamshachah Bam Mail Meseder Shtalshlos, Hana Mashinim Shum B'chinas Atik, Mechus Moshe B'chinas Pnimis Kesed. Okay. Well, basically, what I would sum up is the following. I would sum up as follows. Chachma Geluya, the question, remember, we have to go back to the point of departure here. Chachma Geluya, the problem was, how does that connect to Chmeichas Tima? When Chmeichas Tima reaches so deeply into Atik. The answer is because Chmeichas Tima has two levels. These are the two levels of the Sidus. One is Yud Kimel Tekina Dikna, Pnimis of Chmeichas Tima, or you can call Makif of the Makif of Er Chezer. That goes all the way into Atik. And yes, it also comes through Sidus. But that is not how Chachmas Tima goes into Chachma Geluya. Chachmas Geluya goes through the Sidus that is the Chetzenius of Chachmas Tima. That's basically what he says.
So what happens when it goes?
I think he's not Meidech enough, but I will say,
He asked the question, how does it go up to Atik and how does it affect us when it goes up to Atik? How does it come down? And he asked a very valid question.
Well, it comes down to this. Remember, we're talking about a bridge here. So here's how I see the bridge as so far, the way we see it till now. The bridge goes like this. The next page is vital because he sums it all up. But the bridge goes like this. Chachma Geluya, we know next to Chachma Stima. Let's go the other way. It's easy the other way. Atik, we know, is Mislabish and Chachma Stima. That's what we said, Tainug and Chachma. So that we got that part. So Chachma has a connection to the highest source. Right? The problem is, how does it come down now? So he explained that Chachmas Tima has two levels. One of it is very much Pnimis Tainug, that's Yud Gimel Tekuna Dikna, the Mazel V'Neitzin and so on. But another part is needs to go through a Saida to get to Chachma Geluya. So essentially, I'll explain.
You're having your beard go upstairs and go down through the regular hair. That's what it sounds like to me right now.
It's true. That's what it sounds like to me as well. In other words, let's put it this way: the hair itself has two levels. There's how the hair connects to the tainuk, and then then there's the aspect of but he doesn't say that. That's the thing. He does.
It's only beard. It's not regular hair.
Yeah, but he doesn't talk about regular hair.
Before he said 5 o'clock.
Yeah, but
before he asked the question.
But then he should have answered the question. That sinus on the head, and then there's the sinus of the beard.
That's the answer. But then he asked.
But he doesn't answer that.
One second. Then he asked, but how's that possible? Mele hair, it's a diluk. But Gimel Tikkun and Dikkin is not a diluk. How's that possible? That's his question.
I don't think that. But his answer is not that. His answer is not that there's two types of hair. He doesn't say that anywhere.
Yeah, it's regular hair.
Where'd you get that? Show me one place that says that. No. I think he's saying. 1 second. I think he's saying it's the same hair. You're talking about only Yud Gimel Tikkun and Dikkin, but the hair itself has two levels in it. One, the pnimius, how it connects, and the other that looks like only a saida, and it comes down to chachma geluya. In other words, the beard becomes a mamutza between and itself has two levels. That's what it sounds like to me. Two levels in sidus, not the sidus in that, because that would have been an easy answer. He should have just said Yud Gimel Tikkun Dikna remain, and then we have a different problem. You have no connection to Yud Gimel Tikkun Dikna. Then it remains apart. He's saying Yud Gimel Tikkun Dikna is the level that comes down, but it comes down to chachma geluya only through a saida. Connected above.
I really think he's saying.
You know what's also you just as kids already.
I just read it again.
You're remembering what Yossi said.
Exactly. No, remember? Oh,
No.
When he's teaching us.
He has a point. Can we find it befedish, or this is what we assumed?
No.
This is how he let it.
No, then he would have answered the question. Would have been very simple. He would have just answered that right away.
What?
You might be right. You just have to prove it.
Oh, it says. I mean, Ken is a misyashe. What is it? What's the question? Achadayin is misyashe. You give him to give back. What is it? Not regular sidus. No, you give him to kunadikna. When you ask the question, there's valid. What is it?
So then why doesn't he just say Yud Gimel Tikkun is a different level? It's not the sidus we're talking about.
He says.
He says there's premise of consensus. Why does he say what you're saying? He should have said that.
He asks. You give him to kunadikna stack a different level. A bazeh, how could it be a makal chokhmah?
So it's not a makal chokhmah because the sidus of the head is the makal chokhmah, and the beard is nothing to do with it.
No, that's the whole. The whole Reish Dalet is to tell you that Gimel Tikkun Dikna is connected to the source. If it's connected to the source and it's not b'derech diluk, im kein echu makal chokhmah.
And the answer is.
I don't know the answer.
The answer is that the chesed
The answer should be regular sidus.
No regular size b'derech diluk. Gimel Tikkun is not b'derech diluk.
No, but the Gimel Tikkun was also here. That's what
But
he's
it's not
saying.
b'derech diluk. That's his question.
No, it's not b'derech diluk to Atik, but it's b'derech diluk to Chachma Geluya for sure. That's what he's saying. That
Even here, even in Reish Ches, he says one is a hore de hore.
because he never says there's two levels of sidus. One is the sidus on the head, one is the sidus of the beard. He doesn't ever say such a thing here.
That's what we want.
He's talking about the.
The whole thing is a
Can I interrupt? Maybe not the
Did he make a difference between hore de hore and not hore?
That's what the pneumis of chitzenis.
There's a difference between regular sidus and sidus design.
That's the whole thing you're saying there.
Does he say it?
Whatever. What's
We
the
went further, we figured it out.
Military? Zog the kids and let's go further.
Learn the kids already.
No, okay. The kids because also the kids makes a chiluk within the state of inside us. Look, there's two types of sidus. Look, let's say the kids.
If he sums it up in Reish Tes,
Let's go.
then you'll hear everything what you're
I'm always game to go further.
This is getting hot. This is good.
Go with the kids. Let's go further. Come on, because
Well, try to do it again. I'm going to turn it off.
wie ist der weg?
But you're recording, so just leave it. That's all.
we could just
Don't mess up the recording. Just. I will read through it slowly later myself, and we'll get Clarkite here. There's no way, for sure.
He also bothered him the whole time. What does it mean that is that Moshe is speaking in LA?
No. I'm almost convinced what I'm saying is correct. Not because I'm saying because I just read it because the biggest thing he keeps talking about is the premise of consensus of Mechus Tema. If he wouldn't go, what do you need the whole thing? It would be the easiest thing to say. There's two types of sidus. One does not connect to Chachma Gluya, that's the beard, and there's another sidus that does. That would be that says in some places, but here he does not say that.
He says one is b'derech diluk and one is not.
No, but the same sidus. The same sidus.
He says
Not two.
It's
It's the same side of that. The two. That's the premise and chetzenius. That's
the sidus that go b'derech diluk, the sidus that don't go
But it
b'derech diluk.
only happens to be here, the Panimis. It doesn't have a Panimis of
he doesn't talk about the distinction between the head and the beard. Bottom line. He, as a matter of fact, there wouldn't be a question if there was a distinction. How could he ask? So he asked the question: how does Chachmas Timor go to Chachma Gluya through sidus? And then suddenly he says, "But sidus is Yud Gimel Tikkun Dik." And he should have said, Yud Gimel Tikkun Dik is a different level of sidus. We're not talking about those sidus. That's would have been the easiest way to.
Let me get back to this because he continues the concept.
Va'inyan hu perik reish tes. Va'inyan hu yidam shocha shal pi seder shtalshus b'chinas arechamik pin sherish an etzolim shuzeh ma sheshayich el an etzolim. He's talking about two types of hamshachas. One is seder shtalshus, which means basically level after level, not diluk. It's relatively connected with each other. U'kuneidet arech hampen ubchins rotzen, v'hen rotzeni is barach be'efnei shtalshlus. As it's known, arech hampen is rotzen, and it's the rotzen of Hashem in how the shtalshlus should take place. U'b'shoshu ubchins rotzen aposhet, the Erin say baruch sha'olah b'rotzeni l'haitzel ulivre. In its root, it's the original simple rotzen, Hashem's rotzen will, to create it all. Boy. 1 second. Hello. Hi, how are you?
Funny, then why do you need to
Yeah.
Why do you even need to do it then?
You told me 10:30?
Why do you need to do it?
Yeah.
It's coming right from Hashem to Rosh.
Okay.
Why do
Okay.
you need to discuss the deal with Osiris? Why is it even relevant at this point when you say that Hashem connects with Ratzon and you have the same Stalshus? What is the whole purpose of the deal with Osiris?
Ask that again, I'm sorry.
What is the whole purpose of Diluk from Cyrus when we know that the Ratzon connects directly from Hashem, goes to Ratzon and for the sake of Stalshus? About what?
Very simple, because remember, we're talking about a bridge to existence. If it's only completely on the terms of Hashem and Ratzon of Hashem, you're not really creating a bridge. It has to have a bridge to some of our consciousness.
So through the Cyrus to Ratzon, and that's how it goes? Does the Cyrus go from Hashem to Ratzon with a Diluk and then you presume the Seder Stalshus? Is that what he's saying? I'm not sure.
I don't know about how the Ratzon fits in. We're going to see in a minute. I know how Tainuk fits in. It goes like this. There's the Tainuk of Hashem is Atik. Atik connects to Chachmas Tema in a regular way. And Chachmas Tema connects to Chachma Gluya through Cyrus. That for sure, he said. Ratzon is somewhere in between. I'm not sure. That's exactly that. That's the thing.
The low part of Chachmas Tema is over Ratzon. On top of Ratzon.
On top
the
of...
low part of Chachmas Tema is on top of Ratzon.
Yeah.
Right? So that's probably what happened.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, he's
the normal
Well, he's going to say now. I want to see the end of this. Where they go with? Everyone for a smoke. Okay.
I went to take a smoke and 2 smokers.
Fine.
Right.
So
He's in pain. Yes, he's maybe that's.
no, we're talking about Indian here.
No, I'm not talking about that.
ומקום מוקם ליוסי רק שרש הנצולים על כן אי אפשר שימשך ממנו בחוכמה רק על ידי בחינת סיירס לבד. Yeah. Nevertheless, even though it's the root of the Netzalim, it's the root of the emanations.
You're talking about Ratzon,
Yeah, Ratzon is, Arich is. Nevertheless, it cannot come down to Chochmah without only through Cyrus, only through the hair.
A Ratzon comes down to Chachma?
Yeah.
All right.
V'loi kamoi b'chma-
Tzimah was above Ratzon.
The Chochmah Stema is within Ratzon, because remember, Arich, the whole Arich.
Right. It's part of Arich, yeah.
V'loi kamoi b'chochmah l'bina shu derech ilaval. So Chochmah to Bina comes down in a Seder v'hadraga, in an organized, orderly way. But from Ratzon, from Arich to come to Chochmah Gluya, which really means from Chochmah Stema to Chochmah Gluya, it needs to be through Cyrus. It has to have that jump. Okay. V'agam da'ava, da'aba v'ima, gam ke malbishim l'zroyes da'arech hampin, even though it says in Sfarim, in Kabbalah, just to explain what this means, ava, abba v'ima, chochman bina, are malbish, are like garments, for zroyes, for the arms of arech hampin. Remember, every partsuf has a whole seer of a body. So you see that they're closer to Arich Hampin than just Cyrus.
So the fact that it's Malbish Zeros, it's what it is.
Shezeu Hamshacha Shaloya Yidei Cyrus. That apparently is Hamshacha that's not through Cyrus, through here, strands. Zeu B'china Zayin Tachtein is Arich Hampin. That connection is the lower levels of Arich Hampin. The Zayin Tachtenis, meaning from Chesed to Malchus of Arich. Aval Magimul Rishain is the Arich, but the higher 3 levels, Chabad, Chochmas Tema of Arich, and Bina Das of Arich, Ein Nimshach Rak Ayidei B'china Cyrus Levad. So what right now we have a division of Arich, 2 parts of Arich. You could say Chitzenius Arich and Primius Arich. So Chitzenius Arich, yes, has a closer connection to Chochma of Atzilus. But Primius Arich, meaning Chochmas Tema of Arich, needs Cyrus for it to connect, because it's too distant from there. This is still, however, called Seder Shtalshus, right?
It's relative.
Al Shem the Hamshachim b'chinas Arechampim shum b'minyan Eses Firis, because the bottom line is it still is coming from Arechampim, which is counted within the Eses Firis. V'hu Sheresh and Netzalim, and Arechampim is the Sheresh and Netzalim. This is not Atik. If it's Hamshachim from Atik, Atik is higher than Seder Shtalshus. But Arich, in other words, the fact that it's Sidus is still part of the human body. It's not some other level completely. It's true it comes down in a narrow way through like hair strands, but it's still in Seder Shtalshus.
So when we say that Kesser can be part of Eses Firis, we're only referring to
Yeah, that's a cloud, always, yeah. When you say, for example, Im Adas Nimna, Kesser Ein Nimna, you're talking about Arich. When Kesser, I'm sorry, Adas Nimna, you're talking about Atik. Because Das Ein Nimna means Batik, yeah. And Im Kesser Nimna means Arich, then Das is Ein Nimna. You're talking about Arich. No, when you do count Kesser, you always count Arich. You don't count Atik ever. So it all comes down to whether you're counting the Primius or you're counting Chutzenis.
So the source of the Cyrus, though, is Tumah, which is connected to Atik.
Right. What's that? Fine. Now the Cyrus, where they come from Meiches Tima. This is the external of Chachmas Tima. This is the lower level. That's what I'm telling you. That's it. Yeah.
Pnimius of Arich
Primus of Arich
is going.
Well, he didn't say.
Is going.
Yes, exactly, correct.
What did you say? Say that again.
Pnimius of Arich.
Which Primus of Arich meaning the Gimel Rishenus of Arich.
Pnimius of Arich is going derech Sidus to Chachmas Tima.
What the Chachma Gluya?
And from Chitzenius to Chachmas Tima is going to Chachma Gluya.
No.
But I thought the source of the Cyrus was Chachmas Tima.
No. You didn't say it right. No. The Gimel Rishenus of Arich come through Sidus. Those Sidus come from Meiches Tima is the Gimel Rishenus of Arich. Meiche. The Meichin of Arich is the Gimel Rishenus. That is it. It's the same thing. And Sidus come from that, the Chachma Gluya.
So what is it?
And this is all Seder Shtalshus.
But I just thought.
From the Chitzenius of Pnimius Arich.
No, but the Cyrus.
From the Chitzenius of Gimel Rishenus Arich. Is that the same thing by you? Yeah, then good. Yeah.
Wait. So from the Chitzoni. So what is Atik?
What's that? He's not finished. He's getting there. He's going to go to Atik in a minute.
I thought the Chachmas Tima.
Connects to Atik. That's before.
But remember the problem, that part...
We resolved.
One second, hold on, 1 second. Doctor, we're going to get to it. Let's finish reading. I think he's going to go back to it. But what we know now is that the Chitzenius of Meiches Tima, which is the Chitzenius of the Gimel Rishenus, is through Sidus goes into Chachma Gluya. That's clear. And this is the level that's Sosum Lagaba Makablim. It's not Sosum Be'etzim. It's Meiches Tima, the Chitzenius of Meiches Tima. This is still a level of Seder Shtalshus, even though it's Sidus. But it's still within the structure. Omnom, now we're going to Hamshach Shalamayla Legamri Meseder Drogas Hayshtalshus, Hu Mashanimshum Bechinis Radlo, Reishad Lo Yisyad. This is now Atik. She'ein B'minyan Eses Firis. When now you want to bring down Hamshach that's higher than Seder Shtalshus. Remember, there's a Mamutza. The Mamutza here, let's not forget. Our bridge is between the Mailam and Seder Shtalshus to Seder Shtalshus. The dilemma has been through the last 20, 30 pages, how does that happen? So we got to Meiches Tima. Meiches Tima is a bridge between Lamaila and Lamata. So we understood how Meiches Tima connects to Lamaila and Seder Shtalshus. Tainug is in Meiches Tima. The problem is, how does Meiches Tima connect to Seder Shtalshus? So now that's that part that he's resolving now. That's the Chitzenius of Meiches Tima. Bottom line is, the Chitzenius and Primius of Meiches Tima is right now the place where Lamaila and Lamata meet. That's now our point. I'm sure he's going to ask the question, how do those two meet? But we didn't get there yet.
But he said it's from the Chitzonius of Chachmas Tima, you go to Delhi, down.
Through Sidus, into Hishtalshlus. So the Chetzenius of Meichus Tema is part of Seder Shtalshlus. The Primus of Meichus Tema is Lamayla Seder Shtalshlus, which is fine. But we got to that point. So now he's discussing. That's why it's counted Lamayla Seder Shtalshlus. Remember, the Mamutza was, how does something that's higher than Esses Sfiris, God's unity, connect to Sfiris? Or in other areas, Lamayla Seder Shtalshlus connect to Shtalshlus. So the Antu Chad v'lei b'chushban, like we say in Pasuk Eliyahu, Antu Chad, he's one, v'lei b'chushban, and you can't count him. So that's Lamayla Seder Shtalshlus. V'gam hamshachazu, and even this hamshacha Lamayla Seder Shtalshlus, hagam shezam hamshacha sh'layadei hadragas Shtalshlus, even though it's a manifestation that does not come through Hishtalshlus, muchrich later the limshach that a chatzaitis atzinaitis v'chol hasaitis. You have to say it also comes down through the channels and the whole, and within the whole space in the siders themselves. Remember, the cider has a very narrow empty space within it. What's it called? A follicle. Yeah. Let's just finish reading before we explain this. We got to. Ki b'chinas atik u'meiches timon atzmon dahainu b'chinas pnimius meiches timon shu meiche da'atika shesos mitzatz atzmei kanal I efshe sheyovu l'dei gili rak al adei she'ever nimshul derech yud gimel tikun ediknish and samtzim b'chol l'asayra. Yeah, it's the pnimius for sure.
A nice section of hair.
Yeah. We'd have to bring here a microscope and magnify a hair follicle and simply analyze every step of the way, every part of it. That's a good question. I thought of it the right way. Because ultimately, remember this, the Mamutza, we're dealing here, the Chochmas Tema, the same Chochmas Tema whose Chetzenius goes to Chochma Gluya, its Pnimius has a connection to Tainuk. Remember that whole Hemshech? And the Tainuk is in the right, Dafka Lamata. So he didn't firaise, but I think if we read it, we'll get clearer. But that's what he's summing up now. Okay, no, I'm translating says that. He's saying like this. Now we're talking the higher level, the Pnimius of Chochmas Tema. This connects to Radla. This is Tainuk. He says this also has to come down. And the only way it comes down through the same hair. Because on its own, Meichus Tema, the Primus, and Atik are too distant. So it has to come down, can only come down through the narrow channels of the hair.
This is all Cyrus, the general Cyrus.
He's saying you'd gimel to Dikna.
Stop a second, look here.
To me, it's all the Cyrus. I don't see two different Cyrus. I think it's all the same Cyrus. It's two levels in Cyrus. That's true. But I don't know if it's...
But the Gimel was technically going before I learned that. I thought I learned it correctly. It was going up.
Wohin in Yuvan?
Now he's going down.
שיש מייס המשוך שבסדר שטר,
Yeah.
יש משוך אבל not בווי מעיד למעלה.
That's the two that is going. Yeah. Because we're not talking here Makif. That's a whole different story. Or Primi meaning it's still.
Even the Ma'ala Mitzvah Shtar is coming in here.
Yeah, exactly.
One part of Cyrus,
I saw that.
up, connected with Atik, and one Cyrus would be virtual goes down.
I don't know, but you see, is it two different Cyrus or is it the same Cyrus that has two levels of Cyrus?
No idea.
That's what it sounds like. I would not bring in the unless he says it because it's too.
Just now.
But he said it many times. He brought Yud Gimel Tikkun Dikkan into the discussion. It's part of the discussion here.
But every time you connect it with Atik, he seems to say you give.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because you're going to do it connects all the time.
Hold on. Let's finish reading. I am sure he's going to address this. There's no way this in Ayin Beis is not going to address this issue. It could be he didn't get to it yet. Maybe maybe let's see. We know the issue here because now he just said that the Chetzenius of Meichus Tema also needs Cyrus to get into Chochma Gluya. He just said that.
Yes.
But that's Seder Shtalshlus. Then there's how the Cyrus work to get the L'mayla Seder Shtalshlus in. That's what he's talking about now. So he's saying like this. V'agam dam shochazu einen nimsha. Okay. Kanal yevshir. Gili rak al yedei she'ever v'nimshach derech yitud gimel t'gimel is samtzim b'chol ha'sayra. So the only way for Atik and Pnimius of Meichus Tema, L'mayla Seder Shtalshlus, to get into into Seder Shtalshlus.
What is the Chol Asayra there? Hole that the side
Within the side. No. Within the side there's a Chol.
Within the Chol.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's also like a tzimtzum, not a Chol.
Okay. Yeah.
V'agam dam shachazu einu shenimshach rak ha'or levad. What means einu shenimshach? That even though there's some shachim,
In the hair,
It's not.
in the hair, there's a hole.
It's not. It's only Haora. It's not Haora de Haora.
v'agam dam shachazu einu shenimshach rak. Even though there's some shach is not only ha'or, it's deep more than ha'or. K'moy sham shachim b'chinas chitzenis hakez b'chok m'derech ha'sayders.
Yeah, it's not Haora. Kim shenim shakina.
Kim shenim b'chinas ha'atzmus. Okay, so it's not just ha'or; it's also an atzmus. So k'noyde dechein hu hamshach b'chinas primish ha'atzmis nimshach.
Nicht genau Haora.
Yeah. The zeh hefesh ben hamshach de chitzenis l'hamshach primis. The b'chinas chitzenis liyah hu b'chinas shayach l'shtalshlus. V'ayna de etzema hu b'chinas ha'or levad. Al kein hamshach b'shamurak ha'or levad. The chitzenis is only a reflection. U'primis shu atzmi shemuvel berach l'shtalshlus hamshach shetzema nimshach. The etzem is. But they still didn't feel The Mamkom comes after the Maimon HaMuzgar. So it's like he's still in the... let's go to the Maimon HaMuzgar. The Yisod R'Sherish Ador Hu Lefi Shula Malam B'chins Helen V'Gili. Why when Primius is Nimshach, it's not Ha'ara? Because it's higher than concealment and Gili. It's Etzem. And when you have Etzem, you have... you ready... it's not Ha'ara. Ta'er B'chins Ha'ara Levad Shayach Bei Helen V'Gili. A reflection, you can have concealment and revealing. So when it's coming, right? So let's just figure it. So even though, as opposed to Chetzenis of Meches Tema and Chetzenis of Arich, where there only Ha'ara comes, even though from Atik comes Atzmi because it can't be Ha'ara because it's higher than Ha'ara. Even that needs to come through passage of the hair. What we do know is that the hair is serving two different purposes. One for arich, for chetzenis, it brings down the reflection, but it also through like a hair. And here, the radla, the primis, gimel dekunadikun, also comes through hair. What we don't really understand is the distinction, except that there's chetzenis and primis. But that's clearly what he's saying. That sidus, in a sense, they're playing two roles here.
Exactly. One is with derech dilug and one is not. Like
but they're both derech dilug.
Yeah,
but etzem.
Exactly. One is Haora de Haora and one is...
One is one is from Chetzenis Meches Tema to Chachma Gluya, and one is from Atik to where? We're not sure where. To Seder Shtalshlus. Because in other words, it's a little strange. You'd think the Chetzenis of Meches Tema would have less need for Sidus to go to Chachma Gluya than from Atik.
So 1 second. This is exactly what I was asking.
So we need to... This is
Let's talk in simple language.
Serves a tremendous function.
Wait, so let's talk in simple language. Atik goes through Sidus and Arich goes through Sidus. Right?
Correct.
When we say Arich needs Sidus to go through, we're saying that it cannot go b'derech ilav ha'olu. It has to go b'efeshel dilo. It has to.
Right.
Anything other than Sidus, it's not going to be able to get it. It needs a Sidus which is a more of a tzimtzum.
Correct.
When we say Atik goes through Sidus, when we say Atik needs a Sidus, we're saying something else. Not the same way that Arich needs a Sidus.
Definitely different, but what's the difference?
That's what I'm trying to
He doesn't really say the difference. He just says...
What's the difference is the mahalach, that the Arich needs a Sidus because regular Ilav or regular Tzineris are not good enough. It needs a diluk cider.
It seems like it's so strong.
Atik is saying for carrot. Even Atik can.
It's extremely strong.
It's almost like Atik must. I'm not getting exactly. It's like two opposites why they need cider.
One second. I don't know if it's opposites. No. Remember. Sidus solves always a problem of getting a very high level to a much lower level. That's for sure. In that they're similar. The difference is only in what is being nimshach. That's how I understand it. The arich, the chetzenius, what you said is accurate. In the primius, he's saying like this: even though primius comes down, not ha'ara, an etzem comes down, but that etzem can't come down to shalshlus as it is. It needs to have cider. Let's just stop there. That's what we know so far. I'm sure there's going to be more. I don't think we have to understand it to the end because he hasn't finished it really. Because the truth is, what I think he's really going to, and I didn't want to go say that, is really going back to the whole discussion earlier, how Tainug is Nislabish and Chochmah, as opposed to how Tainug is Nislabish and Ratzon. Because Tainug is Nislabish and Chochmah in a very primistic way. Remember, we said Tainug is Chochmah. So Tainug, you have Tainug Mamish. Remember, we said that only when someone fulfills your will, let's say your connection to your son, like you said, the connection to your child. He said, there Tainug is incidental. It happens to be like, you have pleasure, but it doesn't add anything. When a person understands something, that the etzem is connected to Tainug, and the Tainug makes them understand better, etc. So clearly Tainug comes down as it is. It's not just some reflection. But that's what he's saying here. And even that, he's saying, needs a cider. That's what I think he's really getting to. You follow what I'm saying?
Ratzon's relationship versus Tainug, and Chachma's relationship versus
Exactly.
Ratzon's relationship to Tainug is
Very
a result of Mili Ratzon. Tainug is a result of Mili Ratzon.
right.
The Tainug comes
And that's why it's only Chitzenius
the
Tainug.
relationship of Chachma with Tainug is Tainug causes Chachma.
Exactly. Why is this relevant? Because remember, never forget the point of departure. This is the Rebbe Rashab is halting. He knows what he's trying to come. He's coming to conclude something. He wants to create a mamutza between Atik and Shtalshlus. So he needs to have Tainug. Like, why didn't you just stop and say, Gendik, we have Meiches to Moach Chitzenius, goes to Meicha Gluya, and that's it. But he wants a connection to Atik. It's not enough. So that's why. Now, the difference in the Sidus, I'm not really sure. I think what happens in the next Perek is he's going to go Lahavim Beis. Hamshach goes a whole new Hemshach of another 20 pages to explain that, which is 20 pages to explain, if you remember, the Aleph and the Pella, which is 20 pages to explain the Mamutza between Lamayel and Mishalshus and Ishtal. This is what can I tell you? This is a magnum opus, This isn't ending so fast. If you think we're coming, the marathon is just beginning. When they run the marathon in New York, when you get to Queens, you're halfway there. And you're based. So I think you got to be a little patient with this. What can I say? It's a process. I'm learning it right now. Just let's learn pshat, so to speak. Pshut shel mikra. What is he saying? I don't think we're going to. There's too much. There are too many pieces here in the puzzle. And I'm sure that he may say something in 10 pages from now that'll suddenly exactly what we're addressing now. So that's why you got to have misunim bedin, Yeah, but we will verstehen pshat, will verstehen. So very good. We're talking about two types of sidus, or two roles they play. One is an atik, one is this. I'm not really clear how those two connect. Whether we're not clear about that. Right? Fine, so be it. Okay. So mekol mokim tzarich lis hamshach derech ma'aver hasidus. So even this etzem of atik also needs the level of sidus. Now he's going to give an example. I just hope this example is not one of those that needs more explanation than the nimshal. But let's see. So this is al derech. It says in the Geras HaKedesh Kunter Sachren and Nidal Lahave Mashakos Priyetz Chaim Be'inyan Hamshacha Di Yom Tov. What does he say about the Hamshacha of a Yom Tov of a holiday? Shezeh Mechesed Atzilus B'Bchinas Islapshus Chesed Debriya B'Derech Ma'ivir Chesed Di Yitzira V'Asiyah. So Hamshacha of Yom Tov, what he says in the Geras HaKedesh is Chesed Atzilus. His Meslabish dresses up in Chesed Debriya B'Derech Ma'ivir Chesed Di Yitzira V'Asiyah. So his slapshus is from Atzilus and Bria, and Maivir is from Bria through Yitzir and Asir. You know the difference between slapshus and Maivir? Let me explain. Yeah. The difference between slapshus and Maivir is how, the classic example is how Seichel is in your brain, and how Seichel is in your hand when you write. So there's no Seichel in your finger. Yeah, he's probably going to refer to it. So what's the difference?
How about when you learn how to dance?
So he speaks about that.
Is that Ma'ivir? Is that Slapshus?
It's B'derech Klal.
That's not in Ayin Beis.
It's later in Ayin Beis. Later.
No, it's here.
During the week it's 7.
Yeah, that's Hashem. Excellent.
And we're punctual during the week.
You catch the rest
From
of
7 to 8 punctual.
later.
I'm listening.
Yeah.
You don't have.
We have to dance.
No, dance, I mentioned it. Because I saw it in a
No, but also there's a mind. We learned it here too, dancing.
Dancing?
You remember? Yeah. But remember, by Chochmah, he spoke about Chochmah, not dancing, tziyur. The whole thing with Chochmah Satziyur. We learned it even when I was here already. The Chochmah Satziyur is Ma'ivir.
Your how to dance is Chochmah in the regular.
Okay, the bottom line is that Seichel, for example, Seichel does not go through your nose. Your nose is not even Ma'ivir, or through your feet. except those that have that tricks, whatever. So seichel through your hands, you could write a dvar seichel, but no one says it's passing through the hands. Whereas in the brain is actually slapshus, like the koyach hariyah in the ayin and in the eye, the koyach to see. So he's saying a yontav. What's yontav? Why is yontav different than a regular weekday? A regular weekday, the hamshach of chesed atzilus comes by slapshus and bria, by slapshus and yitzira, by slapshus and asiyah. So by the time it gets to us, it's a yom chel. Yontav is slapshus and bria, but from bria it jumps, so to speak. So it doesn't get the personality of it doesn't get the personality right personality of Yitzira and Asiya. So essentially we have the ha'ara of Bria in our, but Ma'ivir it is, because you can't just completely bypass it.
By the way, I don't completely agree with this. Well, it's you could say even without the loy.
The halchon she'im leikein, but I think it could be that's the lashon of Geras HaKodesh.
Ah, okay.
That's right.
Okay, good.
That's maybe why.
Very good point. Yeah. That's very good. No, because you couldn't understand that.
I understand what you say, because there's a double loy. She'im leikein. She says.
Okay, whatever. Okay, Mistam does loy.
Because if it doesn't come loy hayapoel be'elam hazeh. She'im leikein. Oh, I understand.
Otherwise, it wouldn't pay on the Elam Hazeh.
If it didn't go through Yitzira and Asiyah, or if it didn't go with Derech Ma'ivir?
Wouldn't go with Derech Ma'ivir. Then
only what? Only through slapshus?
You have a Tanya?
No,
Give me a Tanya. Let's see a Tanya. Let's make sure. We don't have to make guessing here.
No. That's probably the Lashon Tanya.
What does it mean?
No, that's not the lawyer. I want to know what he says there. What he says there. Let me look.
it means it wouldn't come through.
This is man. Rabbi Rashab. The Mensch hat nachher in Gan Eden. Wir matten sich und trying to understand what he sagt.
Oh, you're going somewhere.
Who?
You're going with Chaim Mazira went.
Who?
Okay, get us a cage. Which one is it? Love in the page Chaim. Okay. Okay. Kunter Sachen. Yeah. I know. Oh, it's the long one, I think. Yeah, the long one. It has no pictures, no paragraphs. The first time I remember my father showed me Samach Vov, I was like 10. I said, there's no pictures. How do you just read and read and read? I still remember that.
Then you start picturing it in your mind.
Yeah, but
Which number is it?
maybe we print an illustrated Ayin Beis with Sidus, Arich, a skull. Let me see. I gotta see this inside. Huh?
Is that the one?
Yeah, the Bazman Hazeh Ikra Bilal Dei Tefillah. That's the one. It's. I think I know where it is. It's on. Let me just. Yeah, this is a very heavy piece here. Ma'ivir. But the Esrik. It's the whole thing here. Yeah.
But he's mentioning Chesed Atzilus of Yantiv, right?
Yeah, this is definitely the lashon from Geras HaKodesh. Just want to see it inside. Okay, here we go. I see on Kufnun Vav Beis, but that's Esrig. Where's the Yantif? Maybe here. I need reading glasses.
Oh, you have better time, you know. Yo.
The one that ever gave them.
Yeah.
That's the one that ever gave them.
Might as well use it sometime.
Yeah.
Can Zen my Siemens or just take it as a time?
It's fine. This is felt and Sufa.
But maybe because the Rebbe gave it out, we'll understand it.
Yeah.
I don't think he's quoting.
I just was reading in Teira Shalom. A guy says to the Rebbe Rashab, if I bring you to Kislev Ayin Hey, he said, the Eibster soll helfen, aber soll sein Chassidim. The Rebbe Rashab answers, Chassidim verlassen sich nicht auf den Eibster zu sein Chassidim, das kommt durch Chaved. Haben wir zu geben, Brache, verstehst du? Huh? Someone said to the Rebbe Rashab that the Eibster should help, that we should be Chassidim. So he says, Chassidim don't depend on the Eibster to be Chassidim. They have to do it through Avodah. Says, we know that the Eibster helps, but it's nicht to get a bracha. Tamal vet my chassid to give a bracha. That's possible. Are you finding anything? You're looking it up online. How come I don't see it? 1 second. Oh, here we go. Okay, I got it. Kuf Nun Ches Aleph. Okay, so here's what he says.
Shimelekein lo hoyapel. It says clearly. Shimelekein lo hoyapel begashmi selam haza.
You're reading the same page? ביום טוב שחסד האצילוס המלובש לגמרי בחסד דבריה מחיה אילם הזה הגשמי על ידי מייבד לחסד אני גם כן סלם שמלגן להיפל בגשמי אילם הזה
So there wouldn't be Yom that's why.
Yeah, okay, say that.
Yeah, towards the end, you saying?
Yeah, right here
10 lines from the bottom.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Okay, so the pshat is like this, very simple. That if it didn't go through Maivid, if it just skipped, it wouldn't be an Elam Hazeh. If it just was Bria, so yeah. We'll finish till the end of this Perek, and that's it's not much more.
Yeah.
Okay, so therefore, but remember, Shimon Limlakin Lo Yehoya Poel BeElam Hazeh Hari Hamshachim B'chinas Chesed Atzilis v'Chesed Debria B'chinas Neshama. So we see the Hamshach is from Chesed Atzilis and Chesed Debria. Ve'ein HaMayver Poel B'zeh Shum Shinui. So it comes down into Asiya through, but it's Maivid means that since it passes through, it's like an express train.
Oh, but 1 second.
It doesn't stop.
Oh,
Hold on.
If not what?
One second. Let me finish. Let's finish. 1 second.
Yes, it would have been what?
Hey, can we finish? 1 second. Yossi. So the Maivid has a pu'ula. So it doesn't make a shinui. It's still from Eschesed Debri. That's why it's Yom Tov, not a Yom Chel. But the Maivid did cause that it should be able to be received Lamata, because like he says in Tanya, if it didn't go through Maivid, you wouldn't have an Elam Hazeh. It would remain in Ruchnis. So the Maivid brings it. It's like an express train. You get to the destination, but you don't have to stop those stops. So it comes in Elam Hazeh, but you have the Hamshacha from like skipped the two worlds. So it doesn't. So it comes to you the way it is. It's more in its original.
So the fact that it's Poel Elam Hazeh is gives it the properties of like it's Islapshus.
No.
That's what he says here. Maiver Chesed Yitzira V'Asiyah Hanikra Gam Kein Hislapshus. This Maiver Shein Loi Kein Loi Poel B'Gashus Elam Hazeh.
Well, Kamoy Kain. 1 second. Let's go back now. Why he's bringing it here?
Skalamani Rosh Chodesh, just skip one level.
Well, Kamoy Kain. 1 second.
Stop.
Well, Kamoy.
Maybe is this from Yitzira that goes like.
Okay. Kamoy Kain. Pamshoch Primis Hanal. Now he's bringing it back to our discussion. The same thing is the Pamshoch Primis Hanal of Atik. Shebredei sheyuchel iskabel ben natzolim tzarich lis Hamshoch derech tzeneres asayres.
That's the other extreme. Yes.
In order to come down to the Netzolim, remember we have to bring it down to the Netzolim, it has to go through the Tzeneres, the channels of the Cyrus, of the hair follicles. Acham Shochim B'chinas Atik Mamish. But Hamshach is from Atik Mamish. So you're having both sides here. You get Atik Mamish like you get Yom Tov, Chesed Debria and Atzilus. But the Cyrus, that's what he's saying here. He wants to give an example. That you can get the Etzem, not Ha'ara, but it comes to you through the Maiver of Cyrus. Whereas the Cyrus and Chetzenis and Mechistema doesn't work that way probably, because there it's only Ha'ara. I don't know the difference exactly, but
the Cyrus, the function that Cyrus serves by the Hamshach of Arich is to be Mamshich Arich into lower, into Chachma, right?
Right.
In order to be Mamshich Arich into Chachma, and it's going to take
Meichistema into Chachma.
Meichistema into Chachma. It's going to take on the properties of Chachma. Regular Ilav can't work. Right. It needs Sidus type of Hamshacha to be able to transfer from here to here.
Yeah, but that's what
You're
getting an Etzem.
It's a different function.
Yes.
It's not there in order. It's not going to change anything. It's going to stay the way it is. It also needs Sidus, just that it should come down.
We said the whole purpose of the Devil, but it was just, that would seem like it was saying before.
He's explaining it.
But I have a big question here. But I have a big question.
You have a question. We'll decide if it's big or not.
Okay. Why don't you decide if it's a question?
You're entitled to have.
Okay. At least there's some liberty. The question that I don't want to resolve it now. I'm just throwing it out. So you're saying the same Saida which is the same tzir over here, can have two completely different. One brings one brings something down that changes its mohus, and the other one doesn't change its mohus.
Just like Bria Yitzir Asiya,
But the regular dead
Well, it takes some derech mai, but derech slapshus.
The regular old-fashioned deadlift that we've been talking about for weeks doesn't change. That's why we have to throw in deadlift. That's why the whole
Give us the or.
What happens if you dye your hair? How does that fit into this?
It's clouded.
Yeah. I see the letters on. Okay.
What's your question? Oh,
That was my question. So but that's what needs explanation. What's going on here? A side is a side.
No, a side is different functions inside.
No, but when you look at a side, it seems to have the same role in every.
That's what I'm telling you. That's the difference between regular sinus and beard.
I don't know about that.
We'll see about that.
But what's the difference? But they both tell me they put the hair down on the table, right? So what's the difference? I understand this too. I'm not saying there are. It says in places. The question is what's going on here.
About Daniel before, you said that the regular Cyrus is just dumping things as it is, and it didn't go for either way.
Hold on.
You have a deluge.
So that's why it's really the whole thing is bringing down. But
Without Delug, we'd have a deluge.
so what are we talking about?
That's the
We're
same
talking about the
way.
regular Cyrus, or we're talking about the something special Cyrus? Because the regular Cyrus was described as this
When
way.
it goes through Oilim, it's derech slapshus or derech maive. Is it using the same highway?
You left your door open on purpose? No.
Is it using the same highway? Chesed Atzilas that goes on Yantif, derech maive. Is it using the same highway as Yom Chal?
Yeah.
So then you have the same question there.
Fine. I'm not even expecting an answer. I'm just voicing my thoughts. That's all.
Any highway.
It needs to be determined. Fine. I got it. In the Chanami. I don't know. I'm a little confused, to be honest. My question is really.
Because you're in the local, you have to go to the express.
No, but no. The question really here, huh?
The tape is coming to an end. This uses a tape?
It's old-fashioned, really.
Oh no, it says no tape. I was like, just flashing that there is no tape.
No. What's going on here is, you see, what I'm trying to figure out is what happened here. Atik was supposed to be Meiches Tema. And Meiches Tema is supposed to connect to Meiches the Gluya through the Sidus.
Right.
And now suddenly we made a new Sidus connection through Atik.
Exactly.
What do we need that
We
for?
all have the same problem.
Because we had that
We all
question,
have the same
Simon.
problem.
Because you have to answer a
I've been going
question.
nuts about it for 20 minutes. And you say,
Because
No. I understand. But one
he's
second.
trying to answer a question.
What question?
That it came to Kunadikne connects to Atik.
That's fine. I got that. That's not a problem. So why can't you just? We said already that Chochmas Tema is a keli for Tainug. I got that. That's fine. We have a whole.
How?
The whole thing, because Tainug makes Chochma, and you gotta go a whole period. He already addressed that. That's what I thought he addressed. Chochmas Tema and Atik connection was established.
How does it come down to Chochma Gluya?
There's that's the problem.
Yes.
So that's through Sidus.
Exactly.
by the way,
But why do you need two different Sidus?
I'm telling you why. Because Lechatchila
No,
he
but
answered, listen a second. Lechatchila answered as the deal from Sidus.
Sidus.
He answered. So the deal.
from Chochmas Tema to Chochma Gluya. And then he brought in the.
Arif, nicht Atik.
Yeah.
Arif, nicht Atik. Finished. Now he finds out that Gimel to Kunadikne connects to Atik.
They said that before.
I know what you're saying. I understand very well what you're saying.
We all learned that.
So now becomes swear. Now becomes swear. Is it in Masbi? There's two types of Sidus.
So gewaldig.
When you're talking about Yud Gimel.
Anyway, no. Okay, listen. Yossi, you got it all figured out.
Not at all. Begin to.
That was a little settled before I came to this class. Now it's completely
Totally on side. Good. We're getting something.
Now we're getting somewhere.
Back to you guys.
Okay.
We already established.
We have to forget the Talmud Bali and learn the Talmud.
No. Doctor, a couple of weeks ago, we already settled that when it's going to get all settled. You know when?
Yeah.
Then, okay.
That's what the Rabbi Shop.
Unfortunately, I got it.
Some people say they get it.
Yisrael then tells me, his Alon Nazun.
You know
So
that
his
the
wife
Rabbi
signs
Shop
her
said you
emails.
get it after-
His wife is the Almana. She signs her
They got it
emails.
just before they go.
At the end, everything will be okay. If it's not okay, it means it's not the end.
Where's your shirt?
That's-
You in the last one?
Said it's going to be good.
Okay, let's finish the Pedic. And fine, we all, like the Rebbe said, nicht verstehen sein wir alle gleich. And that,
Did I understand?
I heard from your uncle, Label Posner, told me, the Rebbe he asked the Rebbe what he should learn with somebody, so he said, Tanya. So a few months later, the guy comes, this is before the Nesias, the guy comes to the Rebbe says, no, how's the Tanya going? He says, I don't understand anything. He says, the Rebbe said, that's already progress.
That's already, yeah.
Yeah, and then he said, nicht verstehen Sie alle gleich. The difference is only...
In not understanding, we're all the same.
Right. But in understanding, there's a little difference. This one understands them a little more, this one a little less. But not, it's the Ein Sof, so we're all equally distant.
That's right.
Okay, let's continue. This is what it means, ma'amakim korasicha. Two ma'amakim, two depths. Me'emek le'emek. Me'emek le'emek. From one depth to the next depth. Hainu m'b'chinas atik, shu b'chinas emek legaba arech, u'kamoi stima de kol stimoi. Stima de kol stimoi. That this is emek of arech is one level of depth. And then there's atik, legaba arech. Remember, Stima, he said there's a concealment only Lufiyah Makablim, and there's a concealment higher than the Makablim. The Etzim. V'zeo Pirish Me'emek Le'emek, Hainu Meichas Tema U'Merad Law. That's Meichas Tema, that's the two Emeks. One is Meichas Tema, one is Merad Law. Shem Misham, Mamish Hu Hamshacha. The Hamshacha comes Mamish from up there, from Avdod Law. V'alkein Nimshach Misham Slichas Avenis. That's why Mamak Makim Hurasicha, from there comes Slichas Avenis, because it's Mamish coming from the place of Yud Gimel Tikkun Dikna. Mitzvahs is only for Chesenius, is only from the Golgotha, from the Rotzen, from the skull. However, when you bring Meichas Timah, which is Pnimius already, and Radla, which is Atik, so when you do a mitzvah like a tzaddik, is doing mitzvahs that comes from Arich Galgalta. When you come to Tshuva reaches into the Radla and the Meichas Timah.
This is a bomb.
Yeah, here's the bomb.
Two levels in Yud Gimel.
I told you it's in the same level. I'm telling you.
Right.
The Nimtza sheyesh b'Yud Gimel Tikkun Dikna. So we find from this that Yud Gimel Tikkun Beis Madregas. Ha'echad nikra Seder Ishtalshlis. The first is Seder Ishtalshlis. I'm not trying to pull rank, by the way, but I you know. The Hein Shem Shachim B'chinas Arecham P'nei Meichas Timah Sheresh and Etzolim. The first one he was talking about. That's the side. That's Yud Gimel Dikna, probably Chetzenius of Yud Gimel Dikna, that goes through Arecham P'nei Meichas Timah. Sheresh Hanetzolim. Yeah. Sheresh Hanetzolim. And the way they come from Meichas Timah is a Meisrei Meichin, meaning like the leftovers, the residue of Meichin in the hair. That is Diluk. That's Diluk.
Any side is Diluk.
Yeah. This is only a reflection. And the second is the Pnimius of the Gimel Dikna. Shem Shachim Mirad Law, or Meichas Timah b'chinas ha'atzmus the Meichas Timah, not ha'ara. It's not just the leftover. So it's a different role this hair plays. It says. That's b'derech maiver. No, wait, in other words, the first one is more like derech islapshus.
Yeah.
Finish.
1 second. So this comes through derech maiver. So in other words, this one's just passing through the hair. But you're getting the etzem. The other one, you're only getting meisrei. It's a ha'ara, a reflection.
You have to pass through if you want to get the etzem.
Yeah. And this Hamshacha is Gedei Levatsuma. It's great and awesome. The Mal is Kol HaPgomim, because this one corrects all the Pgomim, all the flaws. Lefisha he Hamshacha b'chinas Antu Shleimusa Dekula v'Antu Memala Kol Shma'an. Because this level comes from the unity, the Achdus of. It's higher Leiba Chushban. Remember the level that's higher than Shtalshlus. The Shleimus of the Kula, the one. This comes from the level that he encompasses all Shleimus. V'antu Mamala Kol Shman, and he fulfills all the Shman, his names, all the Shleimus. The Liyesim b'chinas Shleimus be'etzem alkeinu Mamala Kol Shman. Shman is probably all the Chesenis, maybe. I don't know. Since he's Shleimus be'etzem, since he's complete be'etzem, he's essentially has everything. He fills in all the I don't know what Shman means here, maybe. This is like Yered al Hazaken. The pasuk says, "Keshemen hatev al hareish Yered al Hazaken," like the good oil on the head that pours down through the beard. I guess when he pours oil on your head, it comes down, dripping on your beard. Or should we do this? Can we demonstrate that your beard would be gewaldic, like the shemen hatevu primisatik. The good oil, that's primisatik. V'nimshach mechus temor datike, and it's nimshach in mechus temor datike. Umamechus temor nimshach bechinas ha'atzmus derech chol hasayis. So it comes down. So in other words, the shemen hatev al hareish, it comes down al hazoken. V'gdei lahamshem bechinas yitkumul d'gulun d'gulun b'sheresh hamshachos bechinas atzmus mechus to zeh shenimshachem al idei hatzmus.
How does that happen?
Wow. And in order to bring this down is to the level of tshuva. Also the tshuva throws me here. Why keeps bringing tshuva back into this picture?
Because the Gimel Tikkun Dikne can be...
You can't get your Gimel Tikkun without tshuva?
No. Well, it's what is it? Takes care of Gamim, no?
Yeah, Mamala Gamim, yeah.
So what is that tshuva?
But why is that so? I mean, he brought it a few times.
Because it's higher than mitzvahs.
He wants to show that.
In other words, but let's put it this way: in the mamutza, to connect to atik, in other words, you have to have tshuva. You can't just go regular.
He wants to show you a proud.
Okay, I'm talking about Vedic Kala.
About tefillah, really. He's talking really about tefillah now. Why depends on mitzvahs?
I don't know. You didn't talk about tefillah.
I think this is what it means, tefillah.
What do you care to say that it's tshuva?
What?
What do you care to say that it's tshuva? What do you have
They
to...
always talk about how high tefillah goes and how high mitzvahs go and how high this. I mean,
But he didn't bring in tefillah. He said...
Chitzenius mechestima. This needs a lot of understanding. The Ma'alim Mishnashos, we have to bring it down.
Listen, this is our man. You can tell there's a lot.
but mitzvahs ultimately have a higher than tefillah, but only the Kitzonius. In other words, you can't use it now. You can use it later.
Yeah, the question is the
Tefillah,
part of mitzvah that you did not fulfill.
In the tefillah, you can use much more in this real-time world.
The part of mitzvah that you didn't fulfill, where is that?
Mitzvahs in Olam Haba. You get the good effect of Olam Haba. So it's really higher, but it doesn't affect us down here as much. The reward of mitzvahs is in Olam Haba. The only reward we get down here is another mitzvah.
Well, the good news is he's going now into a whole new discussion. To understand all this, you have to understand the difference between shemen and keteiros. So that's the next. Okay. So that basically he's going to go with the difference between kedusha and sitra achra. He's going into now. This will go for. Let me just tell you how long. Yeah. This is going for a long time, my friend. This goes all the way till karbonis and keteiros.
It's penimius compared to.
Keteiros is going to be like the Yud Gimel Tikkuni. Is like the Yud Gimel, the Mala Hapagamim, Tshuva. This goes all the way.
Anytime you do it with Reyach, it has to do with penimius.
You know what's fascinating? This is basically an encyclopedia of concepts.
You got it.
But it's all connected.
Yeah.
It's not just
It's not like A and B and C.
It's all one.
Yeah, it's all one tangle.
And he's going from one concept to the next.
Yeah, but you got to hold up, and we're not, it's hard for me to hold up.
This goes all the way till, literally, 20 pages. Yeah, till the end of till he goes. It's going to be a big hefsek. It goes back to Shavuos again, the winter. This is the Maimorim now of the high holidays. Then till Vayera. It starts with Vayera, then he starts again Shavuos the next
It's
year.
like bringing Tshuva maybe a little too.
Right. No, for sure. This goes all the way till from here. Tov Chav Daled is going to go now till Tov Nun Beis. And then he says, Al-Pi Kol Anal Yuven Ech Sheikra Mamutza is Chach Mistemah Davka. The Al-Pi Anal is going to be literally 28 pages. 28 pages, then he goes, according to that, you'll understand Chach Mistemah. Maybe just skip it. Let's see if we can understand it without learning it.
No, Maderch Maiver.
Somebody said a minor part of Mato Gru in Kutei Torah. I really want to learn that.
Hold on. Then he finishes that mimer, and then he goes back to what he spoke about Pella and Aleph, the Shavuos of the year before that we went back 40 pages ago. So he's going back to 50 pages later. So you remember, it's all like a piece on a piece, and then it goes back. It's amazing, man.
No, when you have to write it in English, that's when it becomes.
I write after we learn here. I write a summary. This one is a little too. This is complicated.
Then it
Yeah.
show the whole.
That's what I'm trying to do. That's what I'm working on. That's the goal.
You know, this
Yeah,
guy,
we'll get it.
David Feldman.
To learn it again and again and again.
David Feldman is making a kitzur in Hebrew.
Of this.
Yeah.
The kitzur they made on some of there is a kitzur in Hebrew 9 Beis, by the way, and the volume 3.
Yeah, but it's very short.
It's short, but it's not good.
All the dot com.
It doesn't help.
No, but this David Feldman he learned it twice with
You said that he's in the middle of preparing a kitzur.
He said.
Yeah, he
He
learns
learned
in
it
the
twice
heart.
with Lachem Kaplan.
He has a very long kitzur. The thing you have to print it or not. He wants to print it. The Costco's going to print it, but he
So
wants to
maybe you
print it
should
on
look at
his own.
his kitzur and it'll make it easier for you to write the one thing.
Well, his kitzur is a book we have to see. First of all, to see whether he understood Pshat.
What did he learn with?
That's another one.
Lachem Kaplan.
It depends how you like the level of understanding this whole thing. Connection. I'd love to see someone had figured this out. It's probably not so simple. Remember, there's two types of kitzur. When I made the kitzur in Samach Vav, it's not just the kitzur of my morim. I made it with the real Havana of.
Do you have it in English?
Yeah.
We're going to get a copy of this.
Yeah, we can turn it off.
Is it
Yeah,
being sold?
Double here. No, first stop it here. One second. Don't turn it. Don't turn it off.
All the signs.
Side is from-
Feldman and Jacobson